Legend of Zelda Tier 3 Sub is the long-awaited sequel to Nintendo Switch launch title and 2017 Game of the Year award winner Breath of the Wild. A game that not only managed to win the same award as Fortnite, as well as quickly cement its place as the 4th best-selling Nintendo Switch game with 30 million copies sold, but has now managed to gain the elusive accolade of being one of only 3 Legend of Zelda games to receive a direct sequel, with the only other games to achieve this status being the first Zelda game ever made, and Ocarina of Time, the greatest game of all time according to Metacritic, and also all of the other people who have never played My Weight Loss Coach. Between 7 long years of waiting for a sequel, Breath of the Wild's Game of the Year awards, the obvious comparisons to the Ocarina of Time Majora's Mask duology, and the $70 price tag, it should probably go without saying that expectations for this game are through the roof. Which begs the question, does Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom manage to live up to the legacy of its predecessor, the history of its franchise, and the expectations of its fans? Fuck, I hope so. This game was really expensive. Okay, yeah, that was pretty good. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is more than just a direct sequel in terms of its story or release date. It is the logical next step to Breath of the Wild in nearly every way. It directly addresses many of the fanbase's biggest complaints, massively expands the established world both in terms of the map design and storytelling, and directly builds on and elevates everything that makes Breath of the Wild great. All of the game's mechanics and ideas are the logical next step from Breath of the Wild. For example, the Ultra Hand ability massively expands the concepts introduced by Magnesis, and further encourages each player to find their own unique playstyle. Recall replaces stasis and recontextualizes every moving object, allowing the player to use their enemy's own attacks against them. Valve Tulin massively expands the capabilities of Revali's Gale by serving as a method of easily changing direction and momentum while paragliding, and it has the added benefit of not forcing me to see Revali's dumb fucking face. The new shrines are way more unique and engaging than the ones in Breath of the Wild, and are constantly forcing the player to play with the game's new and updated mechanics in unorthodox and engaging ways.
Surely nothing here can go wrong, right? Oh my...
And the new fruit system not only recontextualizes the game's combat, exploration, and collection systems by providing new items to use and new resources to manage, but it also provides the player with a seemingly infinite new ways to interact with the world. You've got fire fruit, ice fruit, electric fruit, bomb flowers, moblin horns, fruit that makes your enemies fight each other, fruit that lights up a room, hell, you've even got flashbang fruits. This is just Call of Duty, and this is just GTA. My personal favorite new additions are the Zonai devices. Alongside the obvious lore and gameplay implications, they add a seemingly infinite array of new ways to interact with the game and its systems, and the more you experiment with them, the more ways to play the game begin to present themselves.
I see no god up here except for me.
The Zonai fans provide you with the opportunity to shape Breath of the Wild's robust wind mechanics to your every whim. The vehicle parts add new modes of transportation and recontextualize exploration. The hot air balloons provide an alternative to the slow and limited climbing, with the drawback of limited directional control and a new resource to manage. And the flamethrowers are funny. Obviously, there are a lot of other Zonai devices and millions of ways that they can be used, and even in my playthrough, I am still only scratching the surface of their infinite possibilities. And I cannot wait to finish making this video so that I can get right back to playing with this stupid shit. From the fusion mechanics to the zonai devices to the new enemy types, it really feels like every aspect of Tears of the Kingdom is specifically and intricately designed to surprise the player at every turn and force them to play the game in new and increasingly creative ways.
I made a penis.
But the development team did way more than simply add a bunch of new ideas and mechanics. They also improved or evolved a lot of the ideas they brought over from Breath of the Wild. Nearly every issue people had with the previous game is addressed in one form or another. There weren't enough enemy types? Well, here's a bunch of new ones. Large parts of the map felt empty or like afterthoughts? Well, a bunch of those areas have been revamped with new scenery and challenges that elevate the exploration and expand the world building. Oh, the bosses were unchallenging and homogenous? Have a bunch of new ones. Were the memories tedious and annoying to collect? Well, here's a map that tells you exactly where to find them. There weren't nearly enough weapon types and a lot of them felt underdeveloped or samey. You can fuse meat to your sword. Everyone's getting salmonella today. You can tell that a significant amount of time and effort was put into addressing every criticism of Breath of the Wild and predicting possible future criticism about Tears of the Patreon. And it really shows in every aspect of the game. And then there's the expanded map. For a while, I was legitimately worried that Tears for Fears would not be as fun as Breath of the Wild because the disappointing, but arguably necessary, decision to reuse the same map from the previous game takes away the emphasis on exploration that made Breath of the Wild feel so special, but Tears of the Kingdom perfectly sidesteps this issue. Now, the original map from Breath of the Wild does make a full return, but it has seen some major changes. Massive sections of the world have been altered in a way that recontextualizes many of the game's major locations. New landmarks and points of interest have been scattered across the familiar landscape to ensure that the player is constantly being surprised as they retread old ground. And the shrines and towers have all been moved and reordered in order to provide the player with adequate incentive to continue exploring the map despite its implicit familiarity. And it certainly doesn't hurt that even after 3 playthroughs, I am still finding places that I have never seen before. What the fuck is a Hyrule castle? But more than that, Tears of the Kingdom doesn't just settle for simply reusing the same old map from Breath of the Wild. It adds 2 entire new ones. The elegant, regal sky islands that Hyrule's ancestors once called home, and the dark, corrupted underground hidden in the nation's depths massively expand the map and provide the player with a whole new world to explore. That's right, baby. They pulled a Yakuza 4. The new maps expand not only the Kingdom of Hyrule physically, but in terms of its lore and history as well. And they provide Tears of the Kingdom with more opportunities to show off its new mechanics while adding some much needed diversity to its otherwise familiar gameplay loop of exploration and combat. Even the story is better this time around. I mean, it's better in the way that a hug from your brother's wife is better than dying without ever feeling the touch of a woman. That is to say that, unlike in Breath of the Wild, the story actually exists. It's just kind of inconsistent and a little awkward. It is no masterpiece. Definitely not what we've come to expect from the Zelda franchise, and it still takes a major backseat to gameplay, but it's significantly less passive this time around, and it manages to greatly expand the lore of the entire Zelda franchise, while also continuing many of the plotlines and story beats established in Breath of the Wild, such as Tulin becoming a great warrior and Riju growing into a leader worthy of the legacy left behind by Urbosa. And Zelda actually gets to be a character this time around. The story of Tears of the Kingdom is not without flaws, but despite its flaws, it still manages to be creative, engaging, satisfying, and pretty damn good. And unlike Age of Calamity, it manages to tell a time travel story that isn't wildly disappointing, completely unnecessary, defeats its own purpose, and ends up just kind of being a waste of everyone's time. And the insights it gives you into the first kingdom of Hyrule does wonders to expand the Zelda universe, and the cast of characters, both new and returning, are all given their chance to shine. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom beautifully recontextualizes and elevates everything that made Breath of the Wild feel special, while directly addressing every issue that kept it from reaching perfection. It takes everything great about its predecessor and uses it as a foundation to build something that both manages to feel brand new and respect what came before. It is the perfect sequel to what is often considered a perfect game, and it is quickly becoming one of my favorite games of all time. Easily a 10 out of 10 in my book. Wait, you still can't pet the dogs? 1 out of 10. Look guys, more cat footage. Meow, 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 meow. Do you like Tears of the Kingdom? No, I hate it! The game sucks! Grrr! Zelda peaked at fucking Spirit Tracks and has been bad ever since. All right, you're free. Go. Be free.